All right, good morning and welcome to our Talking Veggie tutorial. I'm going to walk you through how you can create your talking vegetable today on Adobe Flash. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new action script and I've got my blank document. I'm going to need to do a few things first. So let's start with this. First of all, I need to draw each of my mouths. So I've provided some examples of what sorts of mouths you can draw. You can see that there's 9 options here. You need to draw each mouth and convert it to a symbol. I'm going to open up another Flash document that I've been working on. And you can see that in my library, I've created an FV mouth. I've created a mouth that's A, but also I put some other letters that are associated with that type of with that look, and so on and so forth for each of the mouths that I'm going to be using. So 9 different mouths. You need all those in your library. In addition, on my first layer, I drew my pumpkin, right? You can draw any fruit or vegetable that you want, and then I encourage you to do something creative with it. In fact, if you look at my blog, I've posted a video of a talking tomato.
Hello? 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 Is this thing even working? Good morning, everybody, and welcome back.
And so you can see that what I want to do is I want to eventually have something like that where I've got some creative background and I've got my Flash animation talking. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to have a layer where I've got my subject. In this case, it's a pumpkin. In the case that I just showed you, it was a tomato. I'm going to insert a layer, and on this layer, I'm going to have it be my mouths, all right? And I'm going to come back to that in a second. Now we know when we first start with our animation, we want the mouth to be closed. So in general, I'm going to use my MBP mouth, right? MBP, if you spell those out. And I want that to be like how it starts. So I'm going to drag that mouth on. Now your mouth might be a little big, that's fine. You're going to resize it. Okay, and once you're happy with it, let's leave that alone. All right, we'll come back to that in a little bit. The next layer that we need is we need a voiceover layer. Okay, those are the 3 layers that we need. And then of course you can insert a layer down here at the bottom, and this could be your background layer. So you can add anything you want to make the scene more and more creative. Remember, the more creativity, the better. And so I encourage you to spend some time on your background. So for my voiceover, I'm going to need to go to the internet, and I'm going to go to a website called recordmp3online.com. And when it opens, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to allow it to access my camera and microphone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a microphone from the back of the classroom, and I'm going to record a sound. In this case, I'm going to just record something very simple and short so that you get the idea of how to animate or how to make your character talk. I'm going to just click record. Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin? And then I'll stop it, it'll upload it, and it'll give me the opportunity to play it. Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin? And then you can download it if you're happy with it. If you're not happy with it, you can re-record something and it'll show up right above that. In any case, I'm going to download that, right? And then I can show in folder, and I can move it to whatever folder I want. In this case, I've created a talking animation folder. Okay. So the next step is I need to import that sound onto this layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, and you can see I've done it before. I'm just going to delete that for right now. I'm going to File, Import, Import to Library, and then just like as if you're attaching something to an email, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the file I want to import. Right? So again, just for clarification, File, Import, Import to Library, Talking Pumpkin, and then click OK. So now you can see I've got my sound file right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my voiceover layer. It's very important that you're on the correct layer. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag the voice onto my stage. Notice it's not going to pop up there. It's just going to pop up down here. And I can see that it's popped up because there's like a little faint blue purple line. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to insert frames. Just to see, you can see the purple line still going, so it needs to extend out further. And it needs to extend out further, right? And I'll do that until it doesn't go any further. So there's an idea. There's where my voiceover ends. So this is fine. And there's one more really important thing that you need to do before you start trying to animate your mouth. You notice that if I hit the enter key, it'll start to play. But if I hit the enter key again, so I just clicked it.
Have you ever seen?
Right? It stops and pauses right where I hit that enter sign. That's going to be really helpful to you. To make sure that yours starts and stops, you need to make sure that you click on the very first keyframe where you added the voiceover, go to Properties, and then under Sync, you need to click on Stream. Right? It's going to make it a lot easier for you when you add your mouth. Now, adding the mouths is pretty easy. It's just a little tedious. So I'm going to do one last thing before I start adding my mouths. On my pumpkin layer, nothing's going to change about that. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to insert a frame here so that we'll be able to see it the whole time. So let's figure out next where, I'm going to turn up my volume really quickly. Let's figure out where my pumpkin starts to talk.
Have you ever?
Oops, so it's right about there. Let's start again.
Have you ever? Have you? Have?
So I'm going to say right about here. This is where I wanted to start. Remember, it says, have you ever seen a talking pumpkin? So right about here is where I want him to start talking. I'm going to insert another keyframe. And I'm going to keep the same mouth because I want it to stay closed from here to here. Where he starts to say have, I'm going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to right click on the mouth. I'm going to say swapped symbol, and I'm going to put the H mouth on. Now keep in mind on the picture that I showed you earlier, let me go back for a second. There's only A, O, E, L, N, T, S, W, R. You get the picture. There's a lot of letters that are missing. So you need to be creative and think, if there's not a C, right, what does my mouth look like when I use the letter C? And I would say C and E would look pretty similar. So I would add, just as I did in Flash, if you look over here in my library, on my E mouth, I also added C, D, and G, right? Letters that I think will mimic that. So again, I inserted this keyframe. I'm going to right click, swap symbol, and the first letter of the first word is H. So I'm going to literally spell out, have you ever seen a talking pumpkin? I'm going to insert a keyframe. Now H and A are the same mouth. Insert a keyframe for V. I'm going to go to swap symbol. I'm going to find V. And then E. Insert a keyframe. And let's change this to swap symbol, E. And then we want to close his mouth after the last letter of each word. So I'm just going to do that. So it should look like he says have now, right on time. Let's see.
Have you ever?
And it's tough because it's going pretty fast.
Have you?
And I could even, let's see if this will work.
Have you ever seen?
No, that's not going to work. So don't do that. So again, let's just double check.
Have you ever?
So it's a little tough to tell right now, but let's keep going.
Have you?
I think we're on track. So I'm going to insert a keyframe. And let's go ahead and I'm going to swap symbol. And now I'm going to say, I'm going to spell out you. Y. Insert a keyframe. O. Insert a keyframe. Swap symbol. U. Close mouth. So again, you can see it just takes some time.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever? You ever?
Okay, so I'm starting to feel like I'm a little behind. I'm going to move this back a little bit. Notice I highlighted them all.
Have you ever?
Okay, we got the mouth closed, so now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to spell out ever. Swap symbol. Oh, here, let me just make sure I did that right. So, mouth closed. Mouth is closed here, so I'm ready to start ever. And so right here, I'm going to swap symbol. E, insert keyframe. Swap symbol. V. And so you can get the idea of why is it so important for me to have every letter E, V, E, insert keyframe, swap symbol, R. Every letter listed because it makes it very easy for me to know, oh, this is the mouth I want, this is the mouth I want.
Have you ever?
So insert keyframe. We want to close the mouth now because we're done with saying ever.
Have you ever?
So it looks like there's a little bit of a break. So now I'm going to start adding seen here. Swap symbol, S. And again, you can see why like it takes a little bit of time. You gotta just be patient. S, E, E. N. Close mouth.
Have you ever seen? You ever seen? Ever seen?
Let's see. I'm gonna try.
You ever seen a?
So I'm actually going to insert a keyframe and have him keep his mouth open twice for the A. Let's see. See how we're doing.
Have you ever seen a talking?
Oh, we're doing pretty good, I
Ever
think.
seen a talk?
So now it's going to start talking right about here. Insert keyframe. So talking. I'm going to, again, spell it out. So T A. Remember, always insert keyframe first. And swap symbol. L. Insert keyframe. Swap symbol. K. Insert keyframe. Swap symbol. I. Insert keyframe. Swap symbol. N. And then insert keyframe. Swap symbol. G. See how we're doing.
Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin?
Let's see.
Have you ever seen a talking?
I think it should be out a little bit farther. So notice I highlight all the letters I just did in that word. I'm just going to move them over 2 keyframes.
A talking? A talking? Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin? Ever seen a talking pumpkin?
So we got to close his mouth, insert keyframe, swap symbol. Oop. Swap symbol, close his mouth. Okay, let's figure out where pumpkin starts.
Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin?
So right here. And so here we go. We gotta spell out pumpkin. P U N.
Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin?
So let's make some
Have you
adjustments.
ever seen a talking? Ever seen a talking pumpkin? Talking pumpkin? Ever seen a talking pumpkin? Talking
I'll move this back a little bit.
pumpkin?
Let's see if I move this.
Ever seen a talking pumpkin? Pumpkin? A talking pumpkin?
Move this frame out here.
Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin? Have you ever seen a talking pumpkin?
There we go. So all I did was I just added an extra little mouth movement here at the beginning. It didn't necessarily match the letters, but the problem was that my P in pumpkin, the mouth was closed and it didn't look like he started talking
Have
on
you
top.
ever seen a talking pumpkin?
So there, that looks pretty good to me. So with that said, now you've got all the tools you need to be able to make a talking animation. I think the agreement that we made was that your little guy should talk for a minimum of 5 seconds. So it doesn't need to be long, but it should be about 5 seconds in length. And I'm excited to see your final products. Thank you and have fun.